Welcome back. Thank you once again for hanging out with us. This is the one and only IT in the D show. I'm your host, Bob Waltenspiel, hanging out with co-host, producer extraordinaire, Randy Walker. Guest this week, Steve Acho's in the house. I'm going to list off your accolades, and it's going to be like half the show.
Did my mom call you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I used to talk to her back in the... sorry, I had to go there. Made it too easy.
Spoon-fed that
Working for the Solstice Consulting Group as a tech recruiter, your keynote speaker, spoke at TEDx, author, podcast guest host, author again, musician, consultant, used to be an athlete, still are an athlete, and you speak Japanese.
I do.
Is there anything you don't do?
Never played chess.
Never played chess? You bake croissants. I'm just like thinking of something random. I'm not good at,
Right.
Candy maker. Let's go. Like, how far are we taking this?
That list would be longer than you have time for, the things that I'm not good at or can't do. So
Yeah. Well, it's awesome having you here. Can't wait to dive into some of this stuff, but you can find us online, itinthed.com. Do us a favor, give us a like on the socials, subscribe to us everywhere fine podcasts are sold.
If you hear this episode the day it comes out, we will be having our networking event tonight. That is Thursday, June 19th, 5 p.m., and we will be back at the Detroit Shipping Company.
I think we're going to be on the patio outside downstairs, weather permitting. If it's stuffy and hot, we might take it inside, but we'll figure it out.
Just grab a nice cool drink or two.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
They got boat drinks downstairs, so yeah, we'll figure
boat
Fair
drinks?
enough.
But yeah, fruity,
I got you.
ice, whatever, frozen. But no speakers, no cover charge, just a bunch of IT folks hanging out.
It always has been. I love how you did. How long ago when did you start this?
So like properly 2007, officially 2001. I had my first event at the Post Ferndale because I DJ'd there and they didn't have a happy hour. And I said I was going to these events.
I just read about PSP. I just read about pink slip parties.
Oh yeah.
Went back. See, even you forgot about that because it was so
No,
long
I didn't.
ago.
I don't forget about those.
It is so brilliant to just bring people together that want to help each other. Hopefully, I know you don't like when people are sitting there handing out their business cards and just selling, but good networkers don't do that.
We were
But just bringing people in, like this guy needs a job, and Steve knows someone who's hiring someone like you. Like, how great is that?
You know how that was birthed? It was birthed from my friend who was out of a job. And he goes, Bob, I went to this job fair and I stood in line for 45 minutes and they handed me a postcard and said, send my CV online. And
to a certain company.
To a certain company that shall remain nameless. That's it's a different company now. Big automotive company, one of the three that changed names 14 times in the last 2 years. That shall remain nameless.
Yes.
And I said, what a horrible way to treat someone that just stood in line for 45 minutes. It's like kind of in a modern day bread line. And I said, so basically what I did is I worked tirelessly coaching the Blue Crosses and the GEs of the world that would come here en masse. And then the recruiters all knew.
Yeah. It
was the companies that said GE hired 300 people from these events. Wow. And I told them, I said, this is not a job fair. If you show up and hand out a pamphlet, I don't want you here.
Right.
And I said, have a conversation. And then I coach the job seekers. Don't bring your resume because no one's going to walk out here with a stack of 400 resumes and know who the hell you were. Mm-hmm. Like have an elevator pitch. Put what you do. Not an IT guy. Everyone's an IT guy. That's a big thing right now, or it always has been. But just like have a conversation.
It's so fragmented too, right?
Yeah.
To say I'm an IT guy is everything from like the highest level of data architecture and analytics to fix my printer.
To help desk one.
Yeah.
And so I basically told them leave, if you're hiring, talk to 5 people, interview 3, hire 1. And so like recruiters were coming up to me and saying, my time to hire now has gone from sifting through 200 resumes to now I'm hiring people in 2 weeks. Right. Which was
so
a game changer
incredible.
back then. That was a lot. So,
and to be honest, like jobs aside, just now, especially at this point in history, when we're all looking at each other through our phones and the younger generation, just nothing against them. They grew up with this stuff, but they don't have the ability to connect with another human who's standing in front of them because they don't have experience.
Yeah.
And so now that's even more important to be in person and like shake your hand and say, my name's Steve, than it is to just send you a LinkedIn thing like, hey, Bob, I'm a stranger, but can you help me?
Yeah, I don't know if I told this I don't know if I told this story on the podcast or if I were repeating myself. I'm sorry if you heard it before. But a friend of mine, she said my nephew's having a hard time. He started at Help Desk One and now he's like the IT director at a smallish company.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like 1,000 people maybe. I call that a small company.
Yeah.
And he basically is like, I'm having a hard time out there. I'm like, what are you telling people you are? He goes, I just kind of do IT stuff. Like, no, you
Help
like
them help you.
Yeah, and he's like, well, what do you do? And he's like, we had this, it's almost like this peeling back this onion.
Yeah.
And I was waiting for him to get the Johnny Cash eyes. And he said, I go, if your boss, if the CEO is sitting here right now and you were like, what are the 3 things that you did last year? Right? What did you do? And he's like, I
worked on XYZ.
I put in a new, we switched over to a new domain. I implemented a NIST strategy for the security portion of the, for the house. And I forget, but it was like something data strategy. And I go, that's what you do, and it kind of, the light bulb kind of clicked because he was so like, oh, like the human, like I call those human Eeyores. They're just so down. Everything's.
I already asked a lot of people and no one.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest missing piece. I was talking to someone else and I said, that's the biggest missing piece right now is like, you do some really cool stuff. Like you need to really be, I get yelled at my day job about, you don't brag about yourself. And I go, I won't do it. I was a people leader and I would brag about my people. Like, oh, you should have seen what so-and-so did.
Yeah.
But like, they go, you don't brag about.
Humility is a great.
But they said, you don't brag about yourself. And I go, it's weird. I don't like it.
I agree. Yeah. I'm uncomfortable.
I have a Power BI dashboard that shows my numbers that are through the roof. That's it. That's not enough. They're like, you're a storyteller. You need to start telling. So I'm like, all right, now you're going to get it.
Yeah.
And I have the document, everything's documented, and I have these subsets of scorecards and books and like
all to evaluate how you're doing.
How I'm doing.
Amazing.
Yeah. Because like apparently it's not enough. But that's working in modern day.
Sure.
Right? It's not like the bare minimum gets you the bare minimum. Like what I am tasked to do isn't enough. Right? So it's kind of, but I'm like, so on the I want to talk about the recruiting side of the thing, and we'll get into the 7,400 other things you're doing. But like I want to know about the recruiting thing because we're having a hard time getting recruiters to show up to events. We'll get, the hardest thing about the pink slip parties back in the day is like, I don't want someone to see me because I don't want them to know that I'm looking.
Your boss is there.
It ain't, it ain't like that, but it's like that. But like now, like we can't get, and there like 5 years ago was, but pre-COVID, it was, the people that I want to hire aren't here. They're in a seat. But today,
like if they were really good, they would be employed kind of a mentality?
Correct. But like today, I don't know what it is. Like and everybody's like, it's tough out there. And it is tough out there. But there's openings like people are shuffling chairs as much as they've ever done. Sure. Like what are you seeing? Because you handle more on the executive side or higher. Like,
I mean, it's my business partner, Elizabeth Newbold, and I, we're the only two in the company. She's very high level consultant. SAP hired her to write the book on business objects, their analytics tool. So she's very well known. She's an expert, and so I'm CEO and head janitor and all the stuff in between, and just trying to make good use of my time. And I noticed something getting into recruiting. I don't have the background of doing that. I've hired people before, back in the days when I had a real job, but I didn't really know a lot about it. And what I saw, the back and forth, was just a lot of resume slinging and bullet points on a job post, trying to match bullet points on a resume. And I just thought, and I didn't come from this background, but I just thought, like, there's got to be a more, not just efficient, because I think we're somehow wired to be efficient rather than effective. Like, you drive to the gym so you can walk on the treadmill for an hour, but you wait for the space that's the second one. Yeah. It's just in us. Like, I'm sure I do that. I probably take the first space that I can.
I totally do.
Right? I mean, so we're just, efficiency should be applied to things that are effective. And when you see what parts of processes aren't effective, technology is absolutely amazing when used for something that can help you and others, and it's a huge liability otherwise. And so, I mean, I want to expand on something you said that you told your friend about what to say instead of "I'm an IT guy."
Yeah.
But go ahead, you were going to say something.
No, it's something that's making my blood boil.
Yeah.
Having a conversation with someone and they told the prospective employee there's 150 resume AI writers out there right now. And they said, take the job description, dump it in there, dump your resume in there, and then give me the resume that matched up with. And I'm like, that's to me, that's dog shit. Like that you would even like, my resume is my resume.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to add a keyword to get through some system. If you want, if you like me, great. If you don't, like, I'm not going to me, that's manipulating the system. It goes against everything that I've ever heard, thought, spoke,
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, the advice you gave your friend, I wrote a book on this topic years ago. I think I was on the podcast right after. And it's just called Why Technology Recruiting is Broken and What to Do About It. And, half of it is why I think it's broken. And the other half is, here's what we do that makes us successful. We kind of develop this playbook. We get 9 out of 10 take rate, meaning if you ask me for 10 developers and I send you 10 resumes, you're going to, historically, you're going to offer 9 of them a job. So we don't do resume slinging and try and match up. And so you said it perfectly when the guy that went from IT guy to, never mind that. Never mind your job title. Tell me what you did. Tell me what you do. Tell me what you accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
The way that I would love to make a dent in recruiting, and it doesn't have to be just IT, but I think in IT, there's no excuse not to be this way, is when you write a job description, most job descriptions don't describe jobs. They describe attributes or other things that they think people need to have in order to be able to do the job, right? So if you have a master's in computer science, if you have 8 years of Java, if you have all this, we'll talk to you because we just believe that you wouldn't be able to do this work, but they don't do a good job of describing the work. So I coach people that are hiring to say, I don't care if it's the president of the United States. You could put 5 bullet points and just say, these are the things that, if accomplished, would make you successful. And so I'll ask when my clients come to me and say, I need a Java guy, I need a whatever guy, right? What is the guy going to do? Like, what's the project? What are you selling? Whatever. Well, he needs to have 5 years of this, and he has to know this database is, more than that one. I say, okay, so you want him to have all this stuff, right? What is he going to do with what he has? Oh, well, we're building a back end system in .NET that consolidates finances. Or that was a sentence, what I just said.
Yeah.
Give me 4 more. At most, every sentence starts with a verb. And it's like, of course you need good communication skills. So everyone's eyes glaze over when you see that. But if, for example, you said, here's another key performance outcome or objective for you in this job or whoever's in the job is, how do I evaluate whether I'm a good fit for this? Because everyone is going to say, yeah, I have good communication skills. But if I read somewhere that it said, forget nothing about good communication skills, it just said, you will be managing 5 onshore and 10 offshore developers who are on a different time zone and English is their second language.
Yeah.
So that gives me an idea of how I have to apply my good communication skills that I wouldn't know otherwise. And maybe I love that.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't, and we shouldn't waste each other's time.
And that's perfect.
It's
almost like that dating profile. There's like, I really like to go out, but I also like those quiet nights at home. It's like, well, no shit.
Right,
like,
right.
Like,
yeah,
what,
who is
like, really? Like,
so funny.
oh yeah, I watch Netflix. Really? Like, oh, get out of town. That's crazy.
We have so much in common.
So much in common. But that's, I think you hit the nail on the head. I had coffee with someone. I like mentoring kind of early people in sales because I want to destroy not destroy my profession, but I think IT sales has been ruined. Too many people infatuated with green blinking lights and not solving problems. And I'm looking at this resume, and
by the way, that's a portable skill.
Absolutely,
that's amazing. So it's a good skill to teach young people, whatever they end up doing.
Yeah,
Right?
and that's the same thing with networking too. Do like the trick or treaters that just go like, "What do you got for me?" Like,
Right.
no, you can't do that. Like,
Time to build your network is well before you need it.
absolutely.
Right.
Oh yeah, we've been talking about that for years and years and years. But like, nothing was what was accomplished or a metric. Like, if you look at mine, I say grew this quotient of a number that I'm comped on, or that's part of my KPI, grew that 860% over the last 3 years, right?
Amazing.
Like, it tells us.
Started with a verb, told me what you actually did and what the outcome was.
Right. Well, so I learned about the STAR method, and I don't know what it stands for, but it's a situation, what you did, what was the outcome, right? It's no different than
Amazon, all the tech companies.
Yeah. But it's no different than any consulting project you've ever done. What's the problem? How do we solve it? And then what's the business outcome that comes of this? But I think you can, if you attribute that to what you do and can tell that story. I taught a storytelling class at work. We have a TED Talk, but it's for my company. And they said, you should teach storytelling. So I was trying to like, how do I make this?
Like deconstruct why you're good at it and how to pass it on.
Right. But it was like, I go, hero's journey, you're kind of like not know what's going on. Something bad happens. You get help from maybe a mentor, or a team, and you assemble this group, and then you kind of turn that into completing the task, killing the bad guy, saving the universe, whatever it is.
It's all the same.
All these
story
movies,
arc,
they're all the same movies. But like, how do you translate that into business? A lot of times you can say, we implemented this software. It we saved this many hours in productivity with this much money, and then we also killed off this much in dead software. I'm thinking of an EA platform we did.
Sure.
But like, you tell
That's
that
huge.
story,
Yeah.
it's a 10-second conversation.
Yeah.
It's not this drawn out, well, yeah.
And then you even have to say, because a lot of people will say we built a system. And maybe they're just conscious of not saying I because they don't want to say I.
Yeah.
So I'll give them that. But you still have to drill down and say, all right, well, you were on a team of 15 people. So when you say we built this, what did you do? Right?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to catch them in anything. But I think if you can change the online conversation and the personal, in-person conversation, the one thing that I just don't hear people talk about is if you follow the guideline of here's what you have to do, or anyone would have to do in order to be considered successful. So that part of it is just like, do I believe that you're capable of doing that? But how does that sound to you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to, if I'm acting as a recruiter and I'm trying to make a match and I'm playing matchmaker, I want it to be really good. Not just the interview goes well. I want this person to think like, this is meaningful work. This is what I want to do.
Right.
Or know enough up front to say, I've been doing that and I don't want to do that anymore. Like, I've been working alone and I've gotten to manage a small team. I love doing that. I'm a good motivator, or the opposite, whatever it is. But if you can get from them, not just what did you do, I'm not folding my arms and saying, prove yourself to me. It's a discussion on one topic. Let's both discuss whether you are capable and motivated to do this job here, as opposed to anything anywhere. Let's just discuss that.
Right.
Maybe you're not, maybe you are, maybe you're overqualified, but here's everything I know about the project and the people. And some people are excited about certain things and some people aren't. Like there are these, a lot of people will say these things that I think generally people agree with, but they're not always true. Like, no one likes to be micromanaged, right? I mean, almost you get applause if you said that in a crowd, right? In Japan, the years that I spent there, and I work for the CEO, hundreds of people, right? It's like, I don't think you could be a better boss than to give them exact direction on what they're doing and look over their shoulder and say this way, not that way.
Do you know where
in terms of getting them to perform? So not everyone hates being micromanaged. They look at it as on-the-job training.
But I think it's the person how they do it, because like
how is very important.
I worked for the Japanese. Where does the old man sit? Smack dab in the middle of the floor. He does not have an office and he's not in a pulpit.
Wow.
like the
Yeah.
old,
They call them islands. Yeah. I
Yeah,
work
yeah.
in a big room and
Yeah.
I'm butting elbows
It's in the
with
middle.
the people next
But
to me.
it was a collaboration thing. Just like when I, me being a people leader right now, like I'm not a boss. I'm like, we work together and I wear a mentor hat more than I do
Yeah.
like come to me with a, with a problem, come to me like, and I want to see you, not have this problem next
You're
time.
basically, you're saying mentor is the right word because you're inspiring people to recognize that if they think a certain way and you can help them with this, that they are capable.
Yeah.
You're not motivating them. You're not Tony Robbins jumping up and down, which there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not going to motivate you for 6 months. But if someone like you says, okay, yep, I had that problem too, but let me tell you a couple ways to look at it.
Right. But I want you to be your best you. Like, I don't need you to talk like me. I don't need you to act like Randy. I need you to be your best you. You know what I mean?
And I even think because of what you just said exactly, I've changed the way that I ask questions, whether it's business, professional, personal. When I ask, I'm so blessed to have a handful of very, very, very successful, like financially, but in every area of life, successful and happy and extremely generous and kind. And so these are smart, smart people. And when I say, I'm thinking about doing this, I never say, what would you do if you were me?
No.
Or what do you think I should do?
Yeah.
Right? Because they're not me. They don't know my background. They don't know what kind of, trauma is too strong a word. Something I'm allergic to, right? In my past job that I will never do that part of. They don't know any of that.
Right.
The reason they're smart is not necessarily because they know the answer. Like, should I move to Africa? Yes. Okay. I'm gone. See you later.
Yeah.
Like, that's not it. It's how did they arrive? So that's how I ask, Bob, I have this issue. I'm really thinking about A or B. How would you encourage me to think about this? That's a question you ask a mentor.
Sure.
Because you're smart and capable because of how you arrive at answers, not the answer.
And I'm
itself.
a pro-con. I raised my daughters into everything's a pro-con list.
Is that right?
And if you make a decision right now,
Don't you think some of them are heavily weighted in either column?
No, but we take emotional quotient into
I
it.
got you.
There's tactical, there's emotional.
You just with your family?
With my daughters, yeah.
Yeah. How old are they?
One's going to be a senior at Michigan State. The other one's just finishing her freshman year up at, and then my 11-year-old, we're not having this conversation yet. But I had, my middle daughter, she's a freshman. She decided she could have gotten anywhere. She had a 4.2 and played soccer. She goes, I'm going to Macomb. I'm going to work at the Coney. And I don't know what I want to do.
That's great.
And so I bought her a car. And
give her the means.
You get right. Just because all right, you saved, I'm trying to, my parents took care, made sure I was, didn't have any debt coming out of college. So I'm like, I might hate myself in 4 years for doing this, but I'm making sure that they come out of school with no debt. Sure. But like I said, here's a pro-con list. So I'm like, the con is you don't get the college experience. You would rush a sorority, maybe you would play soccer to D2. And I'm like, you're foregoing all that to stay home and to bank money. And now she's doing the things she said she was going to do. Banking the money.
It's great.
She's,
And it's not the same answer for everyone, obviously, right?
It's not.
It can't be. There's one of the things, I'm sure you know Tim Ferriss, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Tim said that this is well before he wrote his first book, 4 Hour Work Week. He kind of got the bug from some of his buddies that were big tech investors. And he was like, I want to do this. I can learn how to do this. I'm going to go back to Stanford and I'm going to get my master's degree on this topic. And so he was asking people and asking around and stuff. And he decided to ask the very question that you did. It's not necessarily pros and cons, or maybe it is. But he just said, why is it that I want to go back at all? Well, I want the knowledge. I'm going to be, interacting with other people. So it's certainly networking, right? And he listed off these things. And then he thought, it's going to cost me $200,000 to do what I just said. Is there another use of $100,000 that will get me all the same things? Good experience, great networking partners, and all that. And so he arrived at the problem very differently than just like, I guess I got to go to school and learn that. And again, I'm not knocking going to school and learning that by any means. But the point is there are choices. and you should be as informed as possible for what's right for you when you make that choice.
I used to
Right.
sell, when I was at HP, I sold boxes with holes in it with green blinking lights. And I sold against Cisco until I went to work for Cisco.
Oh my gosh.
But I didn't sell my box with holes in it. I sold that my stuff is 50% cheaper than them. And you told me you have 5 projects you couldn't do in the security world. I didn't care if it was my infrastructure or whatnot. So I said, let's plot out. All right, here's $500,000. What was those? Which ones are those priority? I go, I just, by buying me instead of that, which is not that much of a degradation in product, and we can go over that, but like I just enabled you to, without going to your CFO for budget, got these 3 things off your plate. Right? So again, I wasn't selling green blinking lights. It was solving a problem.
Yeah.
And it goes back to that whole thing. I wanted to touch on one thing, and then we'll move on to your public speaking. I want to talk about that too. But I was on a panel for hiring technicians, or IT people, and a person sticks out like a sore thumb because she vehemently argued with me because what I said was, I go, what did I wanted? So in my head, a tech, it shouldn't be work when you come to work. So I said, what are you into? What do you do when you go home? And I wanted to hear, I build Gundam model figures. I have a Raspberry Pi server. Yeah. I watch Godzilla movies. You're one of us. You're a sci-fi nerd. You build. And she goes, no, like absolutely no. And I go, what do you like?
No to what?
Like
the question?
Not only the question. She goes, I want someone that's here from 9 to 5 to be the best human being they can possibly be, and then go leave and go do whatever the hell you do. You don't need to like the same shit as me. And flat out. And I don't need them to be a nerd. And I said, well, my thought rationale was, when they're at work, it's tinkering. It's no different than what your hobby, but like, so you're not going to be miserable here punching a part.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I go, that's my thought process. She goes, well, what if they're completely content with that? And now you're
meaning when they go home, they're not interested in anything. They don't have
nothing
passion for
technical,
anything.
nothing technical.
Yeah.
You
weren't looking for that.
It's
though.
left and right. Like me, I want it all to blend.
Yeah.
I thought that was the thought, and she was complete opposite. She goes, I want them to be amazing while they're here, and then when they go home, I don't care.
Mm.
And I said, and I kind of thought about it. I go, well, doesn't that become like you're working at an assembly line? Because of like, if you're doing cool stuff at work that blends in with what you like to do, like, doesn't that should mean more? Because like, but also I guess the person stamping a part at assembly plant sees the final car off the line and says, I had a hand in that.
I did that. Yeah.
Then when it drives by, so there's pride in that. So like,
I mean, Henry Ford started that, right? The story of $5 a day.
Yeah, of course.
So, I mean, my father's an immigrant, so he came from Iraq.
Well.
And when he was like 10, didn't speak a word of English. And long story short, ended up learning English, doing really well in school, got a full ride scholarship to wherever he wanted, got his master's in business, his master's in engineering, worked for Bill Ford. He's retired from Ford now, but he's still very active with them. But I mean, it's a different world now.
Yeah. Well, my dad did 712s at the tool and die shop. My uncles all did that. Like, when people say like, oh, the boomers, and I'm like, listen, I'm going to go on a rant for a minute, and then but like my dad, my uncles, all of them, they drove used cars. They had 2 pairs of jeans.
Yeah.
They smoked what was on sale. They drank what was on sale in the garage. They didn't go to the bar.
Right.
Like
that's a boater mentality, which isn't bad or good. It just is.
They're all my parents. Yeah, my uncles. They're all boaters.
Where are they from?
My parents were born in Yugoslavia,
okay,
but they were German refugees during the war.
Gotcha.
So my dad was born in 41 in Serbia. My mom was born in Croatia in 44. Wow. So there's a whole like the Carpathia Club in Sterling Heights. It's all for Yugoslavian-born Germans. If you read up on it, there's like 300,000-400,000 of them that went down the river during the war, and then the Russians found out the Germans were in Yugoslavia. So then my parents went to Austria, and the border was closed. Anyway.
Oh my god.
Yeah, crazy story. And then they're like, my uncle was in a camp, so like, that whole side won't go back to Germany for Oktoberfest. I'm like, let's go to Oktoberfest for my 50th. They're like, dude, we ain't going. We ain't going. I'm like, great. So yeah, everyone's got a story.
What do you think about, like, one of the things I think is such an advantage and such an amazing time to be alive, and like with all the technology and everything, and all of the, I mean, in one or two, maybe even one generation, it went from, what do you do? And there was a one-word answer, right? I'm an
Yeah.
accountant. I'm an IT guy.
Yeah.
I'm a this, I'm a that. To like people that dabble in stuff and end up making money in it, right? So because we have more choices, I don't like the whole Judeo-Christian ethic that implies work sucks, but you have to do it to take care of everyone, and then you can play when you retire, right? Like, I don't think work has to be hard and you have to, quote, pay your dues, but you do have to work hard, but it might be something that you love doing anyways.
712 sounds like prison to me.
For sure it does. For
I
sure.
I went to the Ford Rouge tour,
Oh, yeah.
and you got your little 10 by 10, and I just made a comment to the guy. I said, "This is a wallless prison,"
Yeah.
and he was just kind of like, "What?" And I go, "Well, I think it's different like now, but like I don't know how my uncles did it. I don't know how my dad did it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. 7 days a week. But here's the thing: they all had that 1,400 square foot house in the suburbs. You know, they all chipped in and bought a lakefront with their 14-foot aluminum boat. They drove a used Cadillac.
Yeah.
They all had that piece of property
Yeah.
and happier than pigs and shit. At least on the outside, they portrayed that.
I mean, you know them pretty well, I'm sure.
They were proud. Like when the old man at the plant used to buy a new Cadillac every year, an Eldorado, and he'd sell it to the guys at like half.
Oh, wow.
Right. So my uncle got the first one, which was a baby blue one. My dad got a primrose pink one. We had a house up on Lake Huron, up in Harbor Beach, and I'm like, those guys, they couldn't be prouder. Like coming here with $40, you know, and then all of like I'm pretty much the least successful out of all my cousins. No, but they either like they're all running stuff. They're all CFOs. They're all like got master's degree. You know what I'm saying?
But you use the word success, and I think that's extremely personal, right? Like we think of a successful person. You're probably going to name someone everybody knows. It's a household name, right? But I always think like, what if Richard Branson's goal in life was to amass a huge amount of wealth and be anonymous?
Yeah,
he failed.
Steve,
but I don't know.
It's the boat or the fisherman story. Do you the famous
Mexican fisherman?
Story? Yeah,
I love that.
Like meets a VC guy.
I just got my MBA. Let me tell you how you could squeeze every penny out of this, so that in the end you can do what you're doing.
Do the exact same thing you're doing right now. And I had a number, and when I had that number, I was done
working,
all of it.
Yeah,
I would buy a dive bar or like a lawn cutting bit, something to keep my mind tuned. So like run
I can't
books.
see you just sitting around.
I would never sit around, but I would like buy like something just like a painless company or job or like bar. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
something.
That's awesome.
But like
that wouldn't feel like work.
But I don't like the guys like the Gordon. How much is enough? More. I'm like. The Mark Cubans, like the Shark Tank, like how many companies do you own? Like how do you even? Yeah. And I get the hustle. I appreciate the hustle, but again, I don't know. Some people I want the siesta. You know, I want the.
I mean, I think we all just in life we have a measuring stick. Like we have a report card in our own heads, consciously or unconsciously, that measures how we feel we're doing in life, and so that could be, again, whether you know it on the outside or not, it could be money for whatever reason. It could be popularity, and it could be your name on as many buildings as possible. Like who knows, right? It could be whatever you want, but you're optimizing for something intentionally or unintentionally. And when I started thinking about this concept, the only thing I could think of is that the way that I score myself, as long as I have enough, right? Like I'm more than stable, right? Like I'm emotionally stable, I'm physically stable, I'm financially stable. I don't need billions. I am, of course, ambitious, and I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to make more money. But for me, the true answer to that question is, how useful can I be to how many people? And so when I feel like I'm useful in any small way, that's when I grade myself high, even if no one knows what I did. I did some good deed no one knows about it, right?
So with you, wearing about as, I thought I wore a lot of hats. You know, what do you like when you say, what do you do?
Yeah, that's still a tough question to answer. I built steveacho.com as a digital business card
Yeah.
to answer that question. It's not optimized for anything. It's just like, who the hell is this guy? But the answer to that just depends on who's asking and where we are. So if I just got off stage and I was performing music, and I said, I'm a musician, and, I have a couple other businesses that I do.
But like saying a musician's one thing, but like, I think you hit what's the milestone? I didn't look it up before we got here.
Yeah.
I know you hit a major milestone on like
Yeah,
downloads or plays
Spotify, it famously pays, a portion of a penny every time you listen to a song. I'm close to 60 million just on Spotify, not including Apple or YouTube or any of the others.
What niche who found you? Like, no, when I mean that is,
there was no moment,
like somebody says like, oh, I made it. Like, what's the band where like it was a hit? Oh, there's a guy, his name was Esquire. He was a Detroit rapper right around the time of Eminem, and he came out with a song called Brandy. I got my Brandy, I got my Xanax. Still love that song to this day.
God.
And it hit in England, and he like went and toured there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you get like in Turkey? Did you get like found like, are you like the David Hasselhoff of you know?
Right. I think I am the David Hasselhoff of a whole bunch of groups of 100 or 200 people. A lot of my sales are outside the United States. So when I look at my metrics for the last year, Philippines could be number 1, US is number 2, Australia is number 3. And so what happens to me is,
but 60 million, that's hard to, when you wake up in the morning, like
there's
it's not real. It feels
artists that don't have that.
I was gonna say, it doesn't feel real.
Yeah.
Like you look at, like I just went and saw Nitzareb. I bet you they wouldn't be close.
But I also don't sell merch. I'm not on tour making 15 grand every time I pick up my guitar. So it's just like, and that's by my choice, right? Like I could have chosen to just go all in on music. And I've had 2 things for me when I thought about it.
It ain't too late.
One, what's that?
It's not too late.
Well, I don't want to.
Oh,
because
fair.
I don't want it to feel like work.
Yeah.
And I don't want to repeat the same thing that I've done. So, when Billy Joel goes on concert on his tour, I just look up his set list because I know he's going to play the same thing he played in Chicago last night.
Actually, I'll give him a minute.
I don't want to keep doing that.
Yeah.
And I love him and I love going to concerts and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, like you said, it would be prison to do that.
Yeah.
I couldn't be on Broadway and it'd be the actor that does the exact same thing 5 nights a week or whatever,
Right. My daughter was a theater nerd. It's a lot. Like by the end of it, it's almost like they were relieved to be done.
Of course.
Ministry, one of my favorite bands when they were like the heavy metal industrial of like when I graduated high school. So like I remember driving to basketball and that's all we would listen to was Ministry to get pumped up. It was like the Pantera, that heavy.
Yeah.
But they also played like Every Day is Halloween, which was like a very new order, new wave. And they erased it from their memoirs. You never acknowledge that they played this new wave sound.
Did people feel like they were let down?
Or? Yeah, because everyone loved that song. Yeah. Like Every Day's Halloween, that was a club classic.
Yeah.
And I just saw them a month ago at Masonic, and they played that like 2 albums, like the new wave stuff. And like Al Jorgensen's an old man, like he's got to be pushing 60, 65.
Yeah.
And they're playing all that stuff now. Yeah. I'm like, God, I wonder if they hate it or if he's like embracing it. He finally, because some of that music is from 86, 83. It's old,
Yeah.
Oh, and the crowd was all gray hairs like me,
I love seeing that. That's half the reason I go to shows.
Oh, yeah.
Or half the fun of it, right? It's just to be like, so this is the demographic for.
I'm taking my wife Saturday to Simple Minds Modern English Soft Sell at Pine Knob.
Pine Knob?
Yeah. And I was,
amazing.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, the crowd is going to be,
I opened for Eddie Money and a couple
Did you
of
really?
people there at Pine Knob. Yeah. It was fun.
What's that like? Playing Pine Knob? Because I remember I did security in the front row and just to look up, it's awe-inspiring. It really is. Like being able to play, like, did you shit your pants? Were you?
No,
were you cool?
I was performing a lot then. So So right after 9/11, literally days, I wrote a song called United We Stand.
Okay.
And that got circulated and I was invited to go to DC with I brought my parents with me to perform that at the 1-year commemoration in DC of 9/11. I was the only non-famous person in the room. And I was on every TV station here. That was for 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So that that kind of thing is when I get an opportunity for that, I'm excited. Like I've sang the anthem at all of the sports games, and people say you're nervous. Not like I'm excited to do it, you
Right.
know? Like that. In some sense, what happens in your body physiologically when you're anxious is also what happens when you're super excited. You're going on a roller coaster. You're
Yeah.
going to get these feelings for a reason. You paid for it,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, so that's kind of how I think about
I
it.
DJ'd every weekend for 20 years probably, or 15, at least 15 years, and
Yeah.
then sporadically. But like I still like.
Were
to
you
this-
ever on like a big stage or had?
I did a German
Right,
festival with probably like 10,000. Like I was doing the band breaks, and the band was from the Epcot, Germany,
Yeah,
and I was doing
cool.
the band breaks, and doing the toast, and I was singing and everything. Like I was more nervous that the electronics were going to fail
Yeah.
than it was me doing what I needed to do.
It's
It's like
totally
as soon as the first note through the PA, I was calm. But like until
same
then,
exact thing.
I would have smoked a pack of cigarettes and chugged a bottle of Jaeger just to like get my nerves,
just to get you
know.
on, yeah.
But you blended like you took an interesting spin blending music in with like your business world.
Yeah.
Like
Sure.
are you is that like a branding thing? Like what was the I guess
I
walk
backed
me
into
through
it by accident, I think. So what happened was there are a bunch of speakers bureaus that that book speakers for events, right? And I'm on a few of them, but the way they were selling me was, this is Steve, this is the kind of musician he is. He will write you a custom song for your event in your company that you can keep. And that was a $5,000 sale, one song. And so I did that a lot. It was really fun. Obviously I'd run it by them and make sure, like, I'm going to make fun of people, but I just want to make sure no one's actually offended. And it's just every time, knock on wood, it's been 5-star feedback. So the bureau called me, I don't know, 6-7 years ago, and they said, "Hey, I'm just checking to see if you're available on this date in Columbus. And by the way, the client wants you to include music." And I was like, "What does the client think I do?" And she said, "Oh, they saw you on a bunch of podcasts talking about," like, they thought I was a motivational speaker. What they took out of the conversation was, like, I advised companies and business people or whatever, right? So they were like, "I want to hear from him." So that just made me think. It wasn't like I'm going to be a keynote guy. I just thought, the first thought I had was, like, I am a maniac when it comes to self-improvement, right? I just deconstruct success and try and steal ideas from other industries. I read a lot. I'm always consuming. And so I thought, if I was going to die in a month from now and I had the chance to do the equivalent of a TED Talk that was 45 minutes to an hour,
Right.
I'm gone. I'm leaving. I don't have kids. There's no legacy. Like, what use did I bring? What value did I bring to the world? What useful, teachable point of view do I have that will inspire lots of people to believe in themselves more? Not just because rah, say these things when you look at yourself in the mirror, but like the stuff that I talk about is very much, it's not theoretical. It's not, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. I'm so sick of that. It's like, it's like,
if you can see it, you can be it.
Yes, all that stuff, all the posters on the, it's like, if that's a revelation to you, you should probably back up and not be doing whatever job you're doing, right? So everything is just actionable, right?
Sure.
There. So I looked at my, quote, resume, and I thought, okay, I was in IT at Ford. I work for the president of Mazda. I work for Jay Alex, who is a pretty well-known guy in the area. He started Alex Partners, which is a corporate turnaround company.
Client a day job, yeah.
I mean, just incredibly smart.
Huge company.
Friend, mentor, and I worked for him. I've done a lot in music in terms of, I've performed in Australia and Italy, and I was on a national TV show in Japan.
Okay.
It was their equivalent of American Idol, but this show, it's called No Dojiman. It's been around for 50 years. And there were 16, 20 of us. And I got to the finals and didn't win, but got some fans in Japan. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I've had all these different things. And by the way, I play by ear. I've never taken a lesson. I don't know how to read notes. Like, I wouldn't pass the 3rd grade English or a music class. And I think about, the way that I look at business from every perspective, right? And I was like, maybe all these different weird things that I do, like I'm in MMA, right? So I'm kickboxing and grappling one day, and then the next day I'm doing a concert that's music, and then I'm doing a keynote, and then I'm doing a consulting thing, and then I'm getting us clients for the IT staffing business and at the federal government, and we've had Amazon and Apple and all these, like it's a lot of stuff, and like you
Right.
said, it wear a lot of hats, but like so just to do a lot of things is not a big deal, right? Like
I think it keeps you sane.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's like I value variety more than comfort, I guess,
Yeah.
or consistency, because I don't know if I thrive in environments that are ambiguous, but it certainly doesn't bother me to not know how much money I'm going to make next month.
Right.
And it actually inspires me, because I can say right now, like how many people can say, I could walk back to my laptop right now, and it's possible that one of the many things I've been working on is just going to quadruple my income, right? I mean, that didn't happen today,
Sure.
but I'm just saying I am optimistic, and perhaps delusionally so, that I'm always on the verge of that. So that keeps me doing all these different things. But getting back to the keynote, I was putting all these things together, and I was thinking, I really am a professional hack. And I don't mean that to be self-degrading or anything. I can teach someone how to play piano the way I do in a 15-minute session once, if you have no concept of music and have never played. But I can also tell you that where I might have achieved some level of fluency in the Japanese language over 5 years, I could get you there in 5 months. And that's what I think is worth leaving behind. Like, yay, Steve can do all these things. So what? That's what I have. But how can I leave the world so that it's better than before, right?
I did when I did the work Slalom Speaks, it's called. It's our version of TED. And I kicked it off with it's the scene from Walk the Line, the Johnny Cash story. And it's that scene going, if you get hit by a bus or truck and you're laying in the ditch and you're going to be in front of your maker, and you got to sing one song. And like, are you going to sing this gospel crap, or what are you going to sing? And he busts out, I Walk the Line. And it was like, I get chills of my spine at that scene every time. So when I kicked this off, I said, if I'm in front of, like, if I do get hit by a truck, and this is my story. Well, it's building this
song?
Oh, no, it's not a song. It's the story. It was the story.
The story of, okay. I got you.
And it's kind of, I kicked into the kind of like building this, and like this will be is forgotten as I'm hoping that this thing ever, but like the fact that this many people found jobs, and I was anonymous about it, the whole thing. Like, some people, oh yeah, I remember that.
You're humble, which is really good, but I know that you also score yourself on being able to help people and being useful and mentoring, and like, that's awesome.
If you can,
that's a good combination.
Well, it was the thing too. Like, I remember we used to throw the Christmas party every year, and then when I got hurt, we didn't do it. And everybody's like, "When's the Christmas?" I'm like, "I'm not doing it. I can barely walk," and I'm like, and all I'm thinking to myself is, it never got done. And that's the way I look at it, going like, if I don't do this shit, I never was like that. Like, I'd rather do this with a conglomerate or like a group, or like make, it was never about, so I always did, the stuff I always did quietly. But I get, Japanese always told me too, there's, you need two people to dig a well, you need the person to know where the water's at, and someone that's good with a shovel.
Right.
And, I'm good at pointing at the ground, but I'm not necessarily good with the shovel. So,
I mean, it's a skill. That's why you have all those millions of stories about the guy that gets $5,000 for coming in and tapping his cane right on the part of the equipment in the manufacturing shop that's causing the problem. Right. And they say, you just did this in 5 minutes and we're paying you $5,000. And he says, because I knew 30 years to know where to knock on. Like, so many stories like that it's true.
Yeah.
And so when you hear that I make X amount of money doing a performance somewhere, it's like, you just got on stage for an hour and a half. Like, yeah, but 30 years of like, totally obsessing over being able to hear what I want to hear
Right.
when I play or when I sing or whatever, you know?
Well, that's ridiculous. Oh, you got so much per hour. Like, I'm not working a 40-hour week. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Judge Judy makes $50 million a year. Like, let's not pretend.
Yeah, we don't need to calculate the hourly rate of all that. She's doing okay.
Right.
But it's also like the outcome too. That for some reason, even though we're still slinging resumes, which I hope changes one day, and we're still paying by the hour, which I totally understand, but it's just not
anyone on
mutually
salary. It's not.
incentivized.
Yeah.
Right? Like imagine me hiring someone to cut the grass and do landscaping, and they're going to come once a week, and I'm like, that's worth $50 to me, right? And if they say, well, we actually do it with scissors, okay.
Yeah.
I'll give you $50 and you get it. I don't care what you do. You could snap your fingers and have the genie in the bottle do it, but it's worth $50. But if I would have paid someone by the hour, they should probably bring scissors. It's in their best interest to take a longer time to do the job. That's why
those are called lawyers, Steve. those are called lawyers.
That's right.
Did I say that out loud? I'm gonna need one
We're gonna
day.
get in trouble. Maybe now.
Yeah, exactly. I remember. No, they're not listening to this anyway. But see, that's the thing, and I think about that all the time. And you brought up a great point: is like, what legacy am I to leave behind? And I'm thinking about that too, because I have 3 daughters. My name's not going. And it was my dad and his brother that came over, and it's pretty. And I got a weird German last name, but this isn't. I'm not Bob Smith.
But the advantage of that is there's not many of you with that name.
Well, there's
right?
a guy in LA that
there's a guy,
but he doesn't want to talk to me because he thinks I'm fishing for his soch. Swear to God, yeah, total like loon.
Oh my God!
So I was like, oh hey, what's up? We got the same. So we've always fought for the / Bob Walton spiel on LinkedIn
URLs and stuff.
Yeah. The so the Gmail address. Yeah. Anyway,
well, I'm lucky that Steve Acho is, as far as I know, the only. So I can't rob a bank.
But here's the thing, though, like like your music, it doesn't. It. That was the one thing I said, like having that movie, or like, all the people, like I remember when Robin Williams passed, and my daughter was like, "Oh, I'm so sad," and I go, "You will always have Mrs. Doubtfire, for the that's how you like. He didn't have dinner with us. That's how you knew him. Like, it's okay to be sad, but also understand he did." Something that like got like he could be in your living room tomorrow. Like, to me, that was like the pinnacle of like, Rodney Dangerfield's one of my heroes. I can put on 30 things from him. Like I watch old Johnny Carson.
So you're saying that lives on.
Right? Yeah, that lives on. So like you have like your music, like like you have that,
I just did a show the other night, and I
it's rare.
Told this story. I wrote a song called Legacy years ago. People have I've performed it, or people have asked my permission to play it at different events. I'm like, of course, retirement, whatever it is. And I got an email from someone in New York, this young lady who said, "Hey, my fiance and I are huge fans of yours. He just got killed in a motorcycle accident 2 days ago, and I'm asking your permission to play Legacy at his funeral because that was our favorite song." And I was like, I wanted to fly out there and do it myself. I probably would have.
Yeah.
But I was like, absolutely, I will go record it again and put his name in it, whatever you want me to do.
Yeah.
But like that kind of stuff gives me the creative,
makes
and
it all worth it.
professional fulfillment, because I know there's other people out there that, and luckily with music, like you don't get a lot of haters in that. I'm either singing about something that I wrote that I think is profound and self-reflective, and like the concept of unity. So when I did the TED Talk, it was about unity, and then I debuted the song that I wrote called Unity, right? So
you did. I did the 50 worst songs of all time, and you did not make the list. So just
thank God.
You could.
Thank God.
But that you didn't get to hate unless you're Nickelback or you're Sheryl Crow or
where did the Nickelback thing come from, anyways?
I think it just became this fun thing.
It's like Chuck Norris and like where did all those
Here's the thing,
things-
like remember when you don't remember when you're too young, but like when disco and anything disco got shit on because there was a new thing.
Yeah.
I think Nickelback was like that genre. I called it neuter rock. I never liked any like
you don't like that
Third Eye Blind, that sound.
That's
I think
90s
they were
stuff, right?
Right, but they were like the originators of it, and it became like the poster children of that neuter rock sound. So I think when the hate came out, it wasn't necessarily them. It was the death to disco, and it was the death of neuter rock, like this soulless garbage.
Yeah,
Hayloft liquor stand cover band do 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 do, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
whatever, you know, just god awful, throw myself off
But
a bridge
catchy.
music. It was always catchy,
Whether you like it or not.
whether you like it or not. But I think it was symbolic though of a you know, I could talk about that crap all day long.
Yeah.
So during COVID, I made playlists of my life. So this nightclub these years, the post bar list, and I broke up the post bar in different eras, like post bar 96 to 01, like
that's
post bar
brilliant.
01 to, you know, 02, like that was like the post bar Auburn Hills. So like
That's a creative way to.
yeah,
That's cool. That's
it's the
really
modern
smart.
way of like Spotify to me is the greatest money I'll ever spend in my life as
I'm a consumer.
as an
like
aging DJ that used to have to go to Harmony House
I remember
to buy that one song for that
on
one
cassette when
on
they came
yeah
out.
the
Or
single
the 45.
the single well for DJing it was the single CD because I had to play that one song like the Macarena and then
Yeah.
like
MC Hammer.
I had just $17.99 for a CD for one song. It was, you know, you think about that.
Right.
Now I'm spending $15 a month and I can listen to whatever the hell I want. I think the artists, here's the thing though. I think, you know, you think the artists are getting screwed. And then my daughter pays $300 for Kendrick Lamar tickets. And it's like, you know, the ticket stubs back when, you know, not that long ago were $20, $30. And to go to it, like, I don't even want to tell you what I spent for Simple Minds for 10th Row Center. It's
Forget you didn't even bring up Taylor Swift, but I mean that stuff is
a billionaire.
She's an industry. She's not a musician.
It's a machine.
You know? Yeah. But I think like having been through all of that, I've always said that my music's going to be wherever people download, stream, steal. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do? Hold it back, and
Yeah.
you know, like maybe it'll help someone.
Weird
And so
Al,
I've
Weird
had-
Al did that. He put it out.
Yeah.
Like I remember that one album, and he just like here it's out. You know, just so you don't have to download it, and just like if you want to buy
Here
my
it is.
record, you know, and then like completely flipped the whole Metallica thing. You know, it might. So I'm gonna.
Yeah.
This is like the third rant. We got to get the Godfather music back, Randy, so I can rant. Metallica. I bought your record. I bought your cassette. I bought your CD. I lost the cassette and I rebought it. I saw you live. I bought your T-shirt. The T-shirt wore out because I wore it so much, and I had to buy another one. And then I bought the next CD. And then by the way, vinyl just came back, so I bought the records again because right. And then you're gonna tell me I can't have a digital copy, like
Yeah.
no,
insane.
no, especially at Metallica. If you're a one-hit wonder and everybody downloads it, because like Kid Rock made a famous comment too, going, just if you're gonna download it, like download my whole album, just don't grab the single that was a hit. That's cheap.
Yeah.
Because I try to tell my daughter, I'm like, listen to Paul's Boutique front to back. Do not pause. Like get through it. Right? Like that's the album. They were telling a story. It's you know,
Yeah.
I know you like that one song. I do too.
Yeah.
I'll play Shake Your Rump a lot more than I'll play the other stuff.
But it's in context.
let
it's
it
like
go.
a play, act one, scene one, and
listen
they
to
follow
Pretty Hate
through.
Machine front to back. It's like a really good DJ. They play the heavy
Yeah.
stuff. They slow it down. They
Right.
take you through this emotion.
But what I don't think people realize is that when iTunes came out, and of course, like the Napster and all that was very controversial, and people were like, "Oh, this just turned the music industry on its head." It didn't as much as people think, because historically, the way that you decide who gets paid, like let's say I'm the performer, so I'm the artist that performs it. There's two people that actually wrote the song, right? So all of us are gonna get paid. But
A lot of hands
how do you
out.
split all that up?
Yeah.
Whatever the numbers were, the question you ask is, how many units did we sell?
Yeah.
And when you sell something, like even when you download a song for 99 cents, you own that song.
Mm-hmm.
If I take that off your computer, it's like stealing your wallet. You own it. You're transferring ownership.
Unless
and
it's
now
iTunes,
yours.
then you don't own it.
Well, now
It
and
is
any of
early.
it, it's
Early.
So that's exactly my
Yeah.
point, is streaming the way that they're doing it. And the reason so many labels and artists are pissed off is because they think that it's going to take a lot more streams, which it will, right? But they act as if, and by the way, you're not buying it from them, right? You're streaming it.
Yeah.
So you're not transferring ownership, which causes this huge legal problem that hasn't even been resolved yet, which is, how do you pay someone when no ownership was transferred.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
How can I steal your shirt if you're leasing it and
It's
you're gonna
vaporware.
take it back? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just out there, right?
What and that's I was talking to my daughter because she went to Kendrick Lamar, and I go, you know, she went and saw The Weeknd too. She's, you know, big concert goer, and then while my other daughter's going to all the punk shows, it's kind of funny the dichotomy of how the kids are.
Yeah.
But I said The Weeknd is the modern day Prince. I could see that. Like he's like the Michael. He's all of them. Like he's just like larger than life, the enigmatic
I
character.
never thought of that. You're right.
Kendrick Lamar, he's like, you know, I couldn't equate to like who the person was, but it's like almost like the Run DMC,
He's an amalgamation of the stuff he grew up on, probably.
Right. But like, I go, what? There's not these like, I could bring in, we could talk 13 genres from 80s and 90s music. And then you had like the mega pop stars. Like, where's like the Phil Collins? You know what I mean? Like like I feel like music's been not stagnant, but like there was a very distinct 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And then it's been the same since 2000. They're still playing, whatchamacallit, Mr. Brightside at U of M games. Could you imagine?
Yeah. I know. I
went to college in 92.
Yeah.
Could you imagine playing a 1970s song, like playing Slade? People were like, what in the world? But that's like the hot song.
Yeah.
I could play Daft Punk one more time and pack a dance floor. And people go like, that came out in 01. And they're like, oh my, it's like time stood still. With music.
I'm always surprised when young people know, like when I start singing a song to get people to sing along, Sweet Caroline, whatever, any of the things that get, and I'm looking, there's 20-year-olds. I'm like, how do you know this?
Yeah.
Is it your parents' influence? Or,
I gave my daughter my thumb drive or my whatever 2 terabyte with every song I ever had.
Oh my God.
And I said, just go through it. I go, you're not allowed I go, you can skip songs, but don't just like click through until you recognize some of the whole point of this is to get introduced.
Yeah.
She got into like Queen and started listening to like loved old, you know, like hated AC/DC, which is fine. Like it's fine. Find what you like,
but
hate what you're right.
Any piece of art is not for everyone. Like start there.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I made this. It's not for everyone.
And that's okay.
You know? Yeah.
She was putting out stuff on TikTok and she's really good artist, the older one.
Wow.
And so I go, for the love of God, if somebody says this sucks, do not delete it. And sure as shit, deleted everything. And now she's turning 21 and she's finally like, I'm starting to do TikToks. And I'm like, thank God it was really good. Like you were funny. Like, you know, like you're going to get, it's the history of the world part 1, you know, and with the first artist came the first critic, you know what I mean? Like it goes hand in hand. If someone's going to say you suck, but if you really like it, who cares?
Yeah.
You know, how many do we got hate? We don't get a hate mail enough. I wish we got more hate mail sometimes.
I can see.
No hate mail in a while.
Dealing
We
with
should
for
check
good-
our reviews though. See if we get any negative reviews.
I have not since we've been doing this. I don't think we've gotten it. Like we used to get a ton of reviews. Some of them were like yuck morning show garbage.
Yeah.
I was fine with that because we're drunk half the podcast before.
I remember. But I think I'm really big on the outcomes of it. And so, yeah, like if people do appreciate it at the end, the other stuff doesn't matter. It's like Seth Godin, you know who that is?
Yeah.
He's like a very prolific, I don't know how many bestsellers he's had, but
Yahoo.
I think he's the one that started blogging when you had to say, what is a blog?
Mm-hmm.
And he has thousands of blog posts, right?
And now you can take a blog and dump it into notebooklm.google.com
course.
and create a 10-minute podcast.
Absolutely. You could do, and
rendering me
and
useless.
have you and I saying things that we've never actually said out loud, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, I forgot what was my point.
Seth Godin.
Stuff. Thank you. So he doesn't track how many listeners or subscribers he has,
Okay.
and he doesn't allow comments. And the reason for that is, and this is what I really respect, and it's the reason that I don't own a scale, because I don't care what I weigh. And if I weighed 20 pounds,
That's what skinny guys
more
say, Randy.
today, but it depends on what you're doing. That's not for everyone. I'm not saying that's for everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
But like he was saying, if I lose 1,000 subscribers today because of something I said, I'm not going to do anything different. You're getting me.
Yeah.
If you don't want me, no harm done.
Great
it's
outlook.
fine. And also with the comments, like, you know, most people that take the time to go online are going to be shitty,
Mhm.
right? And
It's a Yelp review.
Most of them aren't going to be like, I mean, unless you're, as Seth would say, remarkable.
Yep.
Right. There are less people that are going to be like, that was the best concert I ever saw. That was the best blog I've ever. And so
It's a
he was
1-star, 5-star
reasoning-
world. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's a rating, and it's like, who's gonna get kicked off the island and all that.
Could you imagine leaving?
Could
you imagine leaving a 3-star burger review? They're like, the guy would be mortified and go, "What did I do?"
Right,
We're like,
right.
it's an average burger. It's okay to be an average burger.
Right.
What happened to that?
Yeah.
Portnoy
Yeah, right.
Portnoy gives
That's
a
a good point.
7.5, and that's a great piece of pizza.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, or
Yeah.
where I think that's.
But I
his,
think if someone says something that is part of your target market for whatever you do,
Yeah.
and has actual feedback that's like could be critical but useful, that's worth reading. But Seth would say, I'm not going to change my mind about anything. I'm not going to write differently because of comments.
Good on him.
I've never improved my writing
Yeah.
or my ideas because of comments, so I don't track them. And I think it's not just focus on the metrics you care about. I think it's equally important to actively get rid of the stuff that measures things that don't matter. And that's why, for me, my example of a scale is when most people say they want to lose weight, that's not what they mean. They
Right.
say, I want to lose my beer belly.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to fit into my pants better. I want to look great naked. Whatever it is, own it.
Yeah.
And throw the scale away. If you actually do want to lose weight, that's fine. That's the perfect thing to do it. But like, don't measure things just because they're easy to measure.
Sure.
Like comments and likes.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
easy to measure, but like, what does that? Does
That's
that really say anything about me?
Likes is currency now, though.
Here's what's currency to me. I write a blog once a week. It's 8 years I've been doing this. Never missed a week. You have to be able to read it in 20 seconds. That's always been my spec. And I consume so much that it forces me to walk the talk, first of all, because I'm putting it out publicly. But these are all over the place. They're not one specific thing, but they're perspectives that have totally changed my life, and I hope they help other people. I have had strangers ask for my address so they can send me like this really cool blown up copy of the post that I wrote that caused them to quit their job and get a better one.
Wow.
And one person told me that he was contemplating suicide until he read this, again, 3-4 sentence.
You can't do that to
blog.
people.
Can you imagine?
Oh my God.
Like you don't know the effect that you have on people. And
Yeah.
so whatever post he's talking about, maybe 97 people, I have no idea because I didn't check because I don't care.
yeah.
Right. But it's like, I'm going to keep writing. I'm going to keep sharing stuff
that all
I
day.
think is useful with the knowledge that I am not the first person in history to say this, and I'm probably not
Yeah.
the best, but if you get, if something I say and the way that I say it resonates with you, something positive just happened to you because I did that,
It's crazy. We had an networking event here. We'll end on this. She goes, "Why? Like, what do you get out of this?" And I go,
What do you personally get?
Yeah, yeah. And I go, got a group of people together. This is great. She goes, "Well, what do you get?" And I go, she goes, "Why do you do it?" And I go, "Listen, if one person a year gets a job from these events, I will do these until I'm 95 years old, to the day I die."
It's so hard
and
for
I go,
people to
this
break
is-
up
Yeah.
doing something that's kind and generous.
I would be out here with my friends anyway. And like the fact that one person maybe we help, or, even a year, not every time. I don't have a metric on
Right.
every event,
Right.
right? If it's 3 a year, I will do this to the day I die.
We don't even do a head count. Like, we don't care.
Well, yeah, you
Yeah.
can't even
Yeah.
do that. I mean, you also don't know the second order consequences. Like, I meet you, there's no way for us to work together, but your brother-in-law is hiring,
There's a lot of that.
right? That happens all the time. So you don't even know at the event
Yeah.
the second and third order
I should have done.
consequences.
Well, I just followed up with someone that introduced me to someone that I connected them to someone that got like 15 meetings, and I said, "Hey, just to let you know that you gave me this person, and I got them plugged in to the right people, and now they're like flourishing."
Awesome.
Because I used to forget to do that. Like that one extra call. It's a theme now. Like
I send an Amazon card.
yeah,
whenever,
I
or
do.
a gift certificate whenever
Part-
someone connects me and they
Yeah.
weren't looking for it, they weren't asking
Yeah,
for
yeah.
it.
But like even like just a phone call or a text or a thank you, like, because I deal in partnerships at work, so like a lot of times you forget to like, oh my God, this came from so and so, and go, hey, just let you know this worked, this was good,
Thanks.
thank
to
you, I owe you one. Like when you come into town, I'll buy you lunch. You know what I mean?
Awesome. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
forget. So like that one extra phone call now, I'm really trying to make a point. So
That's smart.
Steve, thank you, appreciate you coming out, and we're always good to see you in person.
man.
SteveAcho.com, ACHO.
Yep.
And I was gonna say find you anywhere fine. Everything is sold because you're doing it all. Renaissance Man. Can you say Renaissance Man anymore? Is that like
So
is
why
that
is
gone?
that
Seems
somehow
fine.
offensive? Or?
No, it's cliche maybe.
Oh
No.
yeah.
Dated.
Like slightly dated.
know
But
what it
anyway,
I go
Always-
with weirdo.
Always good seeing you. Congratulations on your success, honestly.
Thank you, my friend.
And keep up the good work. Just, on behalf of, we're going to wrap things up for this. I got it all mixed up at once, Randy.
happens.
We're going to wrap things up for this IT and the D show on behalf of Bob and Randy. Do us all a favor, drink up your drinks, get your phone numbers. You don't got to go home. You just got to get the hell out of here. See you next week. Drive careful. Turn on the AC.